Associated with
Center claim that staff sexually abused the boys and that they were forced to endure a, quote, culture of abuse. They're now suing the state over what they call virtually unchecked sexual abuse at the New Jersey Training School in Monroe Township.
We are taking up the case for National Report Court today. That is with Dwane Cates. He's an attorney, and Tom Del Beccaro, also an attorney, and getting his phone there. Don't answer it yet, because we need you. For the purposes of today's segment alone, Dwane, if you don't mind, represent the men suing. Tom, if you could defend the state of New Jersey. So let's dive into this one here. And a bit of a sad story, but we wanted to see where this could actually go. The attorneys representing the plaintiffs put out a statement announcing the lawsuit. We'll read part of it. Quote, young boys were entrusted into the care and custody of the New Jersey Training School. Instead, they lived in a hotbed of severe and widespread sexual abuse that lasted for decades. The state must end the culture of silence and cover-ups and finally take responsibility for its breach of trust, unquote. So, Dwane, can you walk us through this case here? A bit of a look back, but again, several coming forward now. What does this mean moving forward with New Jersey? What does this look like, the case?
Well, when I first heard about this case, I was wondering, doesn't the statute of limitations apply? But from what I understand, New Jersey passed a law that extended the statute of limitations for these kinds of cases with child sexual abuse. So that opened the door for this lawsuit. Now, it goes back decades, and there was a Department of Justice report, I think in the 80s or early 90s, that said that they found that there was a higher than usual sexual abuse rate at this facility. And the lawsuit alleges that that hasn't changed and it's ongoing. And so sometimes the only way you can get institutions to change is to file lawsuits. Now, I know people are going to say, well, why did they wait so long to bring this up and all that? You got to understand, these are juveniles. Okay, some of them didn't even tell their parents. They didn't tell anybody. And so the lawsuit is probably the best way to fix this.
Yeah, Dwane, you were alluding to it. We just showed it on the screen. A 2010 Department of Justice report finding that the New Jersey Training School had one of the highest rates of sexual abuse among juvenile detention facilities nationwide. The headline here, 1 in 3 juveniles at the Monroe Center sexually abused. So Tom, obviously a tough position to defend here. So we're, again, appreciative for you playing along with the case here. The AG's office has not commented, but what would be the defense?
Well, this is very serious. Everybody's got a right to a defense. It wouldn't come from me, but for you, I'll do it. In cases like this, when it's such a long period of time, there's two main things that you look at. You look at the people's memory, and you look at whether or not there's physical evidence. The whole point of a statute of limitations as a public policy throughout all of judicial and legal history is that memories fade. They change over time. So you do a statute of limitations saying, you have 4 years, say, on a breach of contract. That way you don't have bad memories from a suit, if you allowed anyone to sue, from 20 years ago on a breach of contract. In this particular case, if a defense attorney was going to take this up, and I don't think this will get to trial because it's against the state and the state's not going to stand up to a trial for this, they would focus on memory and whether or not there was any physical evidence. But again, given it's a state institution and the fact that there was a report on this, I don't see this ever going to trial.
All right, yeah. Strong analysis. Guys, if you could stand by, Dwane and Tom, wanted to welcome in now Republican strategist Krisha Lenzo, here to play judge and jury. She's been listening in. Krisha, where do you see this case going? What do you read on this?
I would agree. I think this case, there has to be accountability, and the statute of limitations should not matter with respect to this, because these numbers are staggering. As you were saying, so many of the young boys who are at this institution were being mistreated, were being abused, and it is up to the state to be held accountable. They're overseeing this. It is under their watch that these young people are being abused. It's absolutely horrific. I'm so glad they're bringing this case forward, and there has to be some sort of remedy to deal with all of the ramifications of their abuse. It's so upsetting, and I hope this is just a very isolated incident and it's not in other places. I would hate to think that this is rampant.
Very good point.
But you
All
know
right.
what? They do say it's in other places higher than usual rate. How horrific is that there's an acceptable usable rate?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's not okay. Appreciate everyone coming on today. Dwane and Tom and Krisha, thank you. With that, National Report Court is adjourned. Still to come, there are some new odds out